Playoff hockey is the best, dude. That game ruled. Avs win over the Minnesota Wild 9-6 in Game 1 of Round 2 to take a 1-0 series lead. When you exclude empty netters, so I'm talking about goals that were actually scored on a goaltender, there were 15 total in the first round series against LA. Yeah, 14 goals beat a goaltender in this game alone. If you were trying to build a game that was as physically different as possible compared to those LA series games, this was it. And hey, the Avs played the game they're in, their offense flourished, and they got it done. Yes, there's plenty of negatives to take away from this game too, but winning in the playoffs is ultimately the only thing that matters. Forgive me if I have some brevity in this review, given that I have 14 goals that beat a goaltender to cover. While this did end up a shootout of a hockey game, it did not start that way. The first 10 minutes, no goals got scored. I do think the Avs were looking pretty good at 5-on-5, but some penalty issues slowed them down a little bit. They were able to kill those, so that's solid. Far more concerningly about those first 10 minutes, Cale Makar takes a hit from Foligno and leaves the game. He would go down the tunnel and not return until with about 2 minutes left in the first period, at which point he would not take a shift. His next shift wouldn't come until the start of the second period. And then he was awesome, but we'll get back to that. For the majority of the first period, the Avs were only playing with 5 defensemen, and they were still the better team in the first. Things started off with Sam Malinski. After winning a neutral zone faceoff, the Avs load and execute their breakout to perfection. They get it to Natchez with speed through the neutral zone, and he carries that speed across the blue line, getting the Avs space before pulling up and looking for a trailing player, and that trailing player happens to be Sam Malinski coming down the far wall. He hits him nicely before, or rather after, a little bit of a nice fake on a earlier trailer cutting through the middle, and look at the gap this creates for Malinski because he beat his man up the ice. Now you have a ton to work with. Malinski uses it, not quite to the dot before letting this go, and he beats Wallstead short side with a perfect shot. Marty Natchez was awesome in this game. He's the setup man on that play, and all of the plays that weren't connecting and clicking for him in the LA series clicked in this game. He would end the night with 3 points, which is more than he put up in the LA series, and he was one of the many pieces that rocked for the Avs offensively. Obviously, Malinski is great, especially in a situation where Cale Makar is out of the lineup at the moment. For him to step up and produce for you defensively, if you can get that, it's going to be a huge problem, not just for Minnesota, but for anyone else the Avs may face in the playoffs if they get there. And that goal just set off the entire fireworks stand. Including that goal, across the next 5 minutes, 5 total goals were scored. In the next 2 minutes, the Avs would score twice more. The Avs' fourth line just outworks you. A dumped-in puck, LOC puts pressure on initially, doesn't succeed, but keeps Middleton from clearing it hard, which allows the puck to stay in, and the Avs just start eating them up. They get this in deep. Middleton gets a second try and is going to completely whiff on this one, and because LOC never quits, he's in position to take advantage of the whiff. He gets stick on it, makes a really nice backhanded play to get this to the middle to Jack Drury, and Minnesota scrambling in what they thought was a puck they had possession of, leaves Drury enough room to take his time, pick his spot, and beat Wallstead far side. Forget a power play system, forget doing specific things, just give the puck to Nathan MacKinnon and get the hell out of the way. Nathan MacKinnon goes 1-on-4, gets the puck on net, creates a rebound that he collects himself, could do it himself, but opts to hold on to this, nutmeg a guy for a pass to Lehkonen, who I don't even know how he knows was there, and then for the cherry on top, Lehkonen also goes 5-hole on Jared Spurgeon, who is trying to play goaltender with Wallstead out of the net. That first goal is why the Avs' depth is so dangerous this year. They've been so much better on capitalizing on opportunities from other teams' mistakes than they have in previous years. Through 5 playoff games, watching the Avs' depth guys' third and fourth line continue to come up big for them is the difference in a lot of games. The power play goal, on the other hand, is just Nathan MacKinnon being an absolute monster. Whereas LA was packing the box extremely tight and making it really hard for the Avs to get the middle of the ice, especially on the rush. In this game, the Avs said, we're taking the middle and there's nothing Minnesota can do about it. It's great stuff, and when you succeed at doing things like that, it opens up a lot of other lanes for you. MacKinnon in particular, you love seeing doing that, and then to find Arturi Lehkonen on that second chance opportunity is just, not a lot of guys can do that, all right? Hockey changes fast, though. Sitting up 3-0 less than 3 minutes later, it would be just a 1-goal lead for the Avs. Kulak, with a bit of time, is going to send this one up the near boards, and you're going to see Colton and Blankenburg engage in a puck battle, and unfortunately things aren't going to go great for them. While they don't lose it outright initially, this is now becoming a possession in the Avs defensive zone, and as the puck squirts out, it's going to come out front, and the initial play by Waugh is good here. He's in a good position, he's able to get possession of this puck, and the Avs should be safe. Unfortunately, he doesn't know what's behind him, and he just panics a little bit, slaps at the puck on his backhand side, instead of putting it on his forehand into the corner, or if he recognized he had the time, he really could have just turned around and skated it or thrown it up the middle of the ice. Instead, he throws it right back to the Wild, and the puck is going to end up in the back of his net because of it. The Wild are going to do a good job of cycling the puck on this shift, but watch Brent Burns here. As Wild are playing on that far wall, Burns sneaks in behind his own net, resets, recognizes that he needs to cover this space here. His defenseman is, partner defenseman, I should say, is challenging the puck, but then he just loses the plot. I don't know where he's going here. Initially, he seems to understand that his man could be in this corner, but then after halfway stepping up on it, he opts to back out, and then instead of backing out to the front of the net dangerous area, he tries to take the same space Landeskog does, and it only gets worse there. After passing Landeskog, still had time to back out and get to the net front, and he just keeps drifting away from the dangerous area of this play, leaving Ryan Hartman entirely uncovered, just not at all, totally lost on the play, tries to take a man that's coming down. Oh no, the guy in front of my net was my guy, and now the puck's going to squirt into the back of my net. The first goal, I think, is forgivable. You need a better play with the puck from Nick Waugh, absolutely, but that's a bit of a scrambly defensive play from the Avs, and they needed to sort out things a little bit faster. Instead, just caused a bit of chaos. The second goal was kind of the elephant in the room in this game. The Avalanche scored 9 goals in this game. Brent Burns was on the ice at even strength for none of them, which was where all but one of the Avs goals got scored, and he was on the ice at even strength for 3 of Minnesota's goals against. Now, we know plus minus is a bad stat. Not all of the goals against him are his fault, but that first one definitely is. This was the worst game of the playoffs by far for Brent Burns, and it puts you in a tough spot in a first period where Makar missed most of it, and later in the game, Malinski had to miss some time because he took a puck to the face, and you could not put Brent Burns out there and trust him. He did ultimately make a nice play in the third period on a penalty kill. It wasn't all bad, and his underlying numbers are actually pretty good. But when you watch Burns too consistently make that big mistake, you gotta have the short leash on him. Part of this conversation is the Avs need Josh Manson back quickly. Nick Blankenburg was very good in this game. I'm about to show you a goal he scored, but he has defensive limitations because of his size. That does not help you when Brent Burns is struggling. Josh Manson can help you there. That leaves the game 3-2, and that would be the score at the end of the first, which is not the greatness it felt like it was going to be early on, but it's still a period the Avs won. And as we get into the second period, it was not a good period for the Avalanche, particularly for Scott Wedgwood. But what I do love about the Avs here is that they never stopped punching. The Avs would get it back to a 2-goal lead early in the second. We saw virtually none of this in the Kings game. The Avs are going to give up a shot on net here, but it isn't all that dangerous, and then they immediately jump on the horse and go. Makar up to Nichushkin, and Nichushkin turns on the gas. Boy, did he skate better in this hockey game than he did in any of the LA series. And look at this pass. Just threaded. Absolutely perfectly through the needle to Ned Blankenburg on the opposite side, who does a great job to retrieve it, and then an even better finish. That goal is poetry in motion, man. Val Nichushkin seems to be moving better than he has all season. Makar returns to the period and gets to contribute on the Avs' first goal of the period. And Nick Blankenburg with a beautiful finish. By no stretch of the imagination was Jesper Wallstedt any good tonight for Minnesota, but the Avs absolutely made his life hard. They were putting pucks in spots that are really hard to make saves in, something the Avs have not done enough of at times this year. You want to score more goals, take good shots. And then the wheels started to come off for the Avalanche. A combination of defensive mistakes that you just can't have and some goals that are, while not saves you need from Wedgwood, they are ones that you would like at least one of the 3. I just gave Blankenburg his flowers a little bit, now I gotta knock him. The Wild, patient with their breakout, do manage to get it up ice and into the Avs zone cleanly, and the problem here is Nick Blankenburg. The Avs were rotating through the neutral zone, so there's a little bit of a forechecking step-up rotation, but as you see, Blankenburg has this gap on him, and Blankenburg's momentum is going sideways, not back down the ice, but that's a pretty big gap to not only lose the gap, but lose the race entirely back down the ice. You gotta do better than that. Burns, unfortunately, not able to make the play, and another one ends up in the back of your net. Look, I don't think Brent Burns is particularly effective as the last man back there either, but Blankenburg cannot let a guy beat him up the ice in this situation. You're up 2 in a playoff game. You have to keep the play in front of you. That's not an issue of size for Blankenburg. Next goal, look, I know there's this rivalry thing between Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, at least in the fan bases, if not between the actual two players. And knowing the outcome of this game, can we at least say Quinn Hughes is awesome at hockey? The Avs are going to lose a board battle here ultimately because Brent Burns finds himself in an awkward position. He helps to try and make this a 2-on-1 engagement, but is too late and doesn't do anything effective. Had he just played his position on the opposite side or even behind the net, this puck comes to him and the Avs are out of this play easily. That's probably me nitpicking though, but it does extend the shift for Minnesota. And then Quinn Hughes is a pretty darn good hockey player. They throw a good screen in front who wins the positional battle. Wedgie can't see it. Hughes picks his spot. It's a tie game. Similar to many of the Avs goals, that's a puck put in the right spot. And at this point, Wedgwood has given up 4 on 16 or 17 shots. When you're over halfway through a game and your save percentage starts with a 7, no matter how hard the job was, that's not a good game. Things would get worse when the Avs get a power play later in the second period, and Nathan MacKinnon, oh god, what are you doing? Avs trying to gain the zone on their power play. They do initially get it. This play from Landy is to try and drop it back to MacKinnon. Look, sometimes things don't connect. I really do think MacKinnon needs to make this play if he's going to be the last man in holding the blue line, but sometimes passes go errant. All right, that's not good. You might be in trouble here, but you should be okay if MacKinnon gets on his horse. Even if Nate just gets on his horse, maybe he can at least be competitive in this play. But instead, MacKinnon just kind of stops. Maybe he trips up a little bit, but absolutely seems to have no interest in getting back on this play. Unfortunately, Nate just also seems to have no interest in getting back on this play, and they realize far too late they've given up a 2-on-0. It really becomes a breakaway clean, and unfortunately, the same slip-in play works on Wedgie again. Missing the puck is one thing. Even toe picking might be a thing that you're out of control a little bit, or rather is out of your control. Completely giving up on the play and giving up a clean, essentially 2-on-0 the other way is just not okay from Nathan MacKinnon. You have to have better there. MacKinnon would end up with a 3-point night. He did his job. He was a net positive on this hockey game, but those plays have to go away. Puts the Avs down in this game after having a 3-goal lead. Not great, Bob. Thankfully, while it's technically not a power play goal, the Avs get this one back. The end of the Avs power play here, I will give Bednar credit. After that shameful display, he did go with the second unit here, and while the power play does expire, they do get the job done, and nothing fancy here, not a ton to break down. The usual umbrella work from the Avs comes back to Toews. He's going to let this shot go. It's going to break a stick on the way in, and it just happens to take the right bounces. You'll take it. Is that a fortunate bounce? Definitely. But you make your own luck, and the Avs did a pretty good job of doing that at 5-on-5 by consistently creating chances for themselves throughout the game, even in the second, which was probably their weakest period. And 2, you don't have to be an unlucky team and find ways to win every single game. You're allowed to get lucky sometimes. At this point, my head is spinning, and it's a 5-5 tie at the end of the second period. And you want to know what might give me the most confidence in the Avs in these playoffs? They've been able to replicate their third period success from the regular season. The Avs just turn into a different beast in the third period, and a lot of that is because of the Calian. Here's another difference from that King series. Gabe Landeskog winning faceoffs, and this one ends up mattering quite a bit. He gets it back to MacKinnon as we go to the high shot. Kirill Kaprizov is in an impossible situation here. This is Nathan MacKinnon cutting to the middle of your ice. You have to respect that. You just have to. Unfortunately, the backside of this play is Cale Makar, a guy you also have to respect. So when MacKinnon hits the pass, Makar has all the space in the world. And if you think Sam Malinski's a good shooter, oh my. It's so nice to have the version of Cale Makar that can just score from any time and anywhere. His shot is so good when he has confidence in it. That's the difference between this Cale Makar and the version we saw against Dallas last season. Quinn Hughes had 3 points tonight. Again, he was awesome. But Cale Makar also had 3 points tonight. One of them scored 2 goals off their own stick. It wasn't Hughes. That gives the Avs their lead back, and they lock in. Let's talk about Nazem Kadri. The Avs don't win this race to a puck in the corner on this play, but they do put their defense into a quality effect. They recover from the corner, get out to the high guys, put themselves in okay situations. The net front man is taken by Burns. You have someone recovering for the second rebound man. There's nothing really on the back door you have to work about, and you get rewarded for this quality. It kicks off of a skate race to Ross Colton, and with Kadri charging the puck carrier, he ends up in behind the play. Colton recognizes it immediately and gets it up to Kadri, which gives him enough runway to get a decent opportunity off. Those legs did look a little rough, I will admit, but this shot is the opposite. It's great. All right, first of all, good recognition by Ross Colton to get that puck up and to Kadri to create this play at all. But not only did Nazem Kadri score in this game, he put 8 shots on net. For the record, in the entire LA series, he only had 4 shots on goal. He literally tripled his shot total in this game. Yeah, I think his hand is doing better. And that's just another weapon in the arsenal for the Colorado Avalanche. Jack Drury, Nathan MacKinnon, and Nazem Kadri all score in this game. 3 of your 4 centers. And I know MacKinnon was into an empty netter, but he had other points too. Yes, you're still not getting the offensive production you want out of Brock Nelson. Not going to dive into that in this video because it's already way too long. But having that center depth, having Brock Nelson not need to score for you just makes the Avs incredibly hard to beat down the middle. That gave the Avs another 2-goal lead, and they did a pretty darn good job of locking things down for the rest of the third, including Scott Wedgwood. Again, I really do not think he was very good in this game, but in the third period, he made a couple of solid saves to keep things under control for the Avs. And then this nonsense play happens. Yeah, that puck just bounces off of him and goes in. That's why insurance goals matter, kids. And almost immediately, to assuage any fears that more nonsense was going to happen, the Calian shows up and says, the Avs are winning this game. After a good battle and a good job by the Avs to hold on to puck possession in the zone here, yes, it skitters to the corner, but the possession continues. They get it up high, and this goes across to Cale Makar. Now this time, Minnesota does think, hey, maybe we shouldn't give that guy all the space in the world. Too bad it doesn't matter. He's still just better than you, finds the lane, and scores. How do you stop him? He genuinely got hurt in this game, came back and played his best playoff game in years. Trying to stop Cale Makar is literally just hoping for the best. That's what it is. That sealed it. The Avs get the empty netter to make it 9, and they take the first game of the series. As fun as this ride was, I really hope the entire series doesn't look like this. And I don't think it will. I think we'll see these two teams lock in quite a bit more in goal and defensively. But you now have faith in the Avs offense that they had that breakout. The big question, though, is who starts game 2, and we'll just have to find out. That is the end of this game video review. Thank you for watching. I am Rudo. If you stuck through one this long, tons of other fun videos. Go check out our podcast. We've got lots of cool stuff.